Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India and Malaysia elevate their ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership, ink pacts on recruitment, Ayurveda and tourism promotion, among others. Foreign and Defence Ministers of India and Japan hold talks in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls for a stronger partnership with Japan. And US Secretary of State calls on Egypt's president in Cairo to discuss Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Egypt has been helping mediate the Israel-Hamas talks along with the US and Qatar. India and Japan are holding their 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue in New Delhi. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and their Japanese counterparts are taking part in this meeting. And ahead of the third India-Japan 2+2 Foreign and Defence Ministerial meeting, Japan's Foreign Minister Kamikawa Yoko and Defence Minister Kihara Minoru met with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for stronger India-Japan partnership. The leaders reviewed the progress in India-Japan defence and security ties, and they reaffirmed the important role of their partnership in promoting peace, stability and prosperity in the wider Indo-Pacific region. Malaysia's Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim is on a visit to India and met Prime Minister Modi on Tuesday. Both leaders held bilateral meetings to discuss further engagement across various domains of partnership and explored new areas of collaboration. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
India and Malaysia ties are at a new high as both nations elevate their relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership. This visit marks a significant milestone in enhancing the strategic partnership between India and Malaysia, focusing on boosting trade, investment and regional cooperation.
Semiconductor, fintech, रक्षा उद्योग, AI और क्वांटम में हमें आपसी सहयोग बढ़ाना चाहिए। हमने भारत और मलेशिया के बीच कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एग्रीमेंट के रिव्यू में गति लाने पर बल दिया है। डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी में सहयोग के लिए डिजिटल काउंसिल की स्थापना करने का और स्टार्टअप अलायंस बनाने का निर्णय लिया है। भारत के यूपीआई और मलेशिया के पे नेट को जोड़ने के लिए भी काम किया जाएगा।
Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar held bilateral talks with Indian counterpart Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
भारत आसियान सेंट्रलिटी को प्राथमिकता देता है। हम सहमत हैं कि भारत और आसियान के बीच एफटीए की समीक्षा को समयबद्ध तरीके से पूरा करना चाहिए। 2025 में मलेशिया की सफल आसियान अध्यक्षता के लिए भारत पूरा समर्थन देगा।
The discussions span a broad range of global and regional topics.
We have agreed to enhance further and make it a comprehensive strategic partnership. Yes, Malaysia and India from the days of Jawaharlal Nehru and Tunku Abdul Rahman has established good relations. But we realize under our generation that this must be further strengthened in a multitude of areas.
Several key MOUs were signed during this visit, further solidifying the relationship. These include an MOU on the recruitment, employment and repatriation of workers, a memorandum on cooperation in the field of Ayurveda and traditional medicine, an agreement on digital technologies, collaboration, a program of cooperation in culture, arts and heritage, an MOU on tourism cooperation, a partnership between the youth and sports ministries of both countries, an agreement on public administration and governance reforms, a cooperation pact between the International Financial Services Authority of India and Malaysia's Labuan Financial Services Authority. Additionally, the 9th India-Malaysia CEO Forum convened on August 19, showcasing vibrant business ties and identifying new opportunities for collaboration. The visit underscores the historical, cultural and economic linkages between India and Malaysia and is expected to lay the foundation for deeper multi-sectoral cooperation, further strengthening the strategic partnership and paving the way for a prosperous future for both countries. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
And earlier in the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received his Malaysian counterpart Anwar Ibrahim when he arrived at Rashtrapati Bhavan or the President's estate in New Delhi for the ceremonial welcome. This is the first visit of Prime Minister Ibrahim to India as Malaysia's Prime Minister. And following the ceremonial reception, the visiting Malaysian Prime Minister proceeded to Mahatma Gandhi Memorial at Rajghat to lay a wreath there. Prime Minister Ibrahim was also seen signing the visitors' book at Rajghat. Talking to media persons about Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's visit to India, Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs Jaideep Mozumdar said it assumes a special significance as the two nations will complete a decade of their strategic relations next year.
The first visit of Prime Minister Ibrahim to India as Prime Minister, and it assumes significance. Firstly, because it is his first visit as Prime Minister since he took over in end of 2022. Secondly, also the fact that we are nearly approaching 10 years of our enhanced strategic partnership with Malaysia, which was announced when Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji had visited Malaysia in 2015.
At the news conference, India's Foreign Ministry's official highlighted the importance of memorandum of understanding that were signed this afternoon.
There were several important agreements that were signed during this time. An important area is in the recruitment, employment and repatriation of workers. Another MOU that was signed was in the area of public administration and governance reform. A third on digital technologies, one on cultural cooperation, an agreement on tourism promotion.
And the visiting Malaysian Prime Minister called on India's President Draupadi Murmu at the Presidential Palace, that's the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. Prime Minister Ibrahim held talks with President Murmu to strengthen their historical and socio-cultural linkages between the two countries. Prime Minister Ibrahim is on a 3-day state visit to India. Africa needs trade but not aid. This move has slowly changed the narrative about Africa through innovation and was the talking point at the 19th India-Africa Business Conclave in New Delhi. The aim of the conclave is to boost Africa's growth and enhance India-Africa partnership in global value chain integration with participation from dignitaries and ministers across Africa and beyond. More in the next report.
The 19th edition of the India-Africa Business Conclave aims to serve as a catalyst for Africa's growth. The African continent is on the path to average growth estimated at around 4% in 2024-25, which is higher than the 3.1% estimate in 2023. However, The continent faces a financing gap of $402 billion leading up to 2030 that needs to be bridged to keep the growth wheel moving.
We need to design new paradigm shift in terms of financing models and make sure that we help Africa not only when we have problems, not only when we want to support the infrastructure aspect, but connecting our raw materials to the industry level. I call it from farms to the factory.
Another trade potential is the rise of vehicle demand in Africa. As the demand increases, the demand for cost-effective, eco-friendly solutions has set off an electric vehicle or an EV revolution in Africa. The African EV market is expected to reach $21.39 billion by 2027, nearly doubling from $11.94 billion in 2021.
Africa today is going through a remarkable transformation. Rapid urbanization and investments in infrastructure, fueling growing demands for mass transportation and increasingly growing sensitization for sustainable mobility solutions are indicators of a much brighter future.
That energy is a key enabler of sustainable transportation. And I must really add that as Malawi, we've put in quite a lot of effort in the green minerals, because we cannot talk of the EVs before you talk about lithium batteries, before you talk about minerals that will power and energize the EVs.
This three-day event will see the participation of numerous dignitaries, highlighting the significance of the conclave in fostering stronger bilateral and multilateral relations between India and Africa. Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
In response to the escalating global Mpox outbreak, the Indian government has increased security measures at airports, ports and borders with Bangladesh and Pakistan, instructing authorities to closely screen international travellers for symptoms of the virus. Now, this enhanced vigilance aims to bolster India's defences against the spread of Mpox as worldwide cases continue to surge. India's top court, while hearing a suo motu plea on Tuesday in connection with the rape and murder of a trainee doctor in Kolkata, set up a 10-member national task force to make recommendations on prevention of violence and safe working conditions for medical professionals. The court also directed the national task force to submit an interim report within 3 weeks and a final report within 2 months. Terming the incident horrific, India's top court came down heavily on the West Bengal government over a delay in filing of a first information report in the matter. The Supreme Court also directed the CBI to file a status report by 22nd August on the investigation into the rape and murder case. The court has urged protesting doctors to resume their work, saying that their concern is being received with utmost importance. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of India wrote a letter to the heads of the government hospitals and institutes, including the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, to enhance security measures across all federal government healthcare facilities. And still to come on DD India Live. Israeli Prime Minister's office confirms that bodies of 6 hostages have been retrieved from Gaza. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with the country's athletes who will take part in Paralympics.
The World Wildlife Organization tells us that over 3 billion people across the globe rely on seafood. There are efforts being made to preserve our marine ecosystem, so let's dive right in.
The course of the river was getting shrinked in the upstream areas, and when there is no freshwater flow, the river Ichamoti only survives in the downstream areas, and it has become, in our terminology, we call it a tidal inlet.
Habitat from so many places in the world, and people didn't even know that it had happened.
Mussels that live at the bottom of the lake have this large effect on the biology of the entire lake.
This is the poster that we provide to
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. To the top U.S. diplomat, Antony Blinken visited Egypt on Tuesday to discuss a potential ceasefire in Gaza following Israel's acceptance of a U.S. proposal for a deal. Blinken, on his 9th West Asian trip since the Israel-Hamas conflict began, met with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and will later meet with Qatar's Emir in Doha. Right, let me take you to New Delhi for the opening statements of the India-Japan 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue.
के साथ अपने विचारों का आदान प्रदान करके बहुत प्रसन्नता हुई थी। चल रहा ओके। एक्सेलेंसी, भारत और जापान के बीच स्पेशल स्ट्रेटेजिक एंड ग्लोबल पार्टनरशिप है जो डेमोक्रेसी की साझा वैल्यूज, फ्रीडम और रूल ऑफ लॉ पर आधारित है। गहरे स्पिरिचुअल एफिनिटी एवं मजबूत कल्चरल और सिविलाइजेशनल रिलेशंस के बीच हम दोनों देशों की मित्रता का एक लंबा इतिहास रहा है। शिचिफुकुजिन अथवा जापान के 7 लकी गॉड्स की जड़ें हिंदू परंपराओं में भी हैं। जापान के साथ भारत के डायरेक्ट कांटेक्ट के डॉक्यूमेंटेड एविडेंस नारा में तोदाई जी मंदिर से मिलते हैं, जहां 752 एडी में इंडियन मांग बोधि सेना द्वारा भगवान बुद्ध की गगनचुंबी प्रतिमा का प्रतिष्ठान किया गया था। दोनों देशों के बायलैटरल रिलेशंस सभी क्षेत्रों में बढ़े हैं और डिफेंस इस रिलेशनशिप के एक महत्वपूर्ण पिलर के रूप में इमर्ज हुआ है। एक्सेलेंसी, हमने भारत की स्वतंत्रता के 100 ईयर्स पूरे होने पर वर्ष 2047 तक भारत को एक डेवलप्ड और ट्रांसफॉर्म नेशन बनाने का निर्णय किया है। डोमेस्टिक डिफेंस कैपेबिलिटीज का निर्माण करना इस का महत्वपूर्ण हिस्सा है। जापान के साथ डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजी और इंडस्ट्री के क्षेत्र में पार्टनरशिप भारत की इस विजन को पूरा करने में एक इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल अदा करेगी। आइए हम मिलकर इस पार्टनरशिप के लिए एक विजन तैयार करें ताकि भारत 2047 के अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स को अचीव कर सके। एक्सेलेंसी, मैं कॉन्फिडेंट हूं कि आज की हमारी डिस्कशंस के माध्यम से हम अपने डिफेंस पार्टनरशिप में हमारे कमिटमेंट को और मजबूत करेंगे और मौजूदा ग्लोबल सिचुएशन को देखते हुए इंडिया और जापान की पार्टनरशिप भी मैं मानता हूं बहुत ही यह महत्वपूर्ण है। यह पार्टनरशिप इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र में फ्रीडम, इंक्लूसिविटी और प्रॉस्पेरिटी को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए बहुत आवश्यक है। अब मैं आग्रह करूंगा कि मेरे डेलीगेशन मेंबर्स भी एक बार अपना परिचय दे दें। सर पहले प्लीज आई विल रिक्वेस्ट जयशंकर जी।
Excellencies, it's great pleasure to welcome you and your delegations to India. We do 2+2 with select partners and the meeting itself. Excellencies, it's great pleasure to welcome you and your delegations to India. We do 2+2 with select partners and the meeting itself has a very unique place in our relationship. I'm very glad that the Prime Minister could receive both your Excellencies yesterday and share his thoughts on India-Japan relations. In the last decade, our relationship has assumed the form of a special strategic and global partnership. The logic of this evolution is our expanding interests and growing activities. As we both step forward into a more volatile and unpredictable world, there is a need for reliable partners with whom there are substantial convergences. As a result, we have consciously sought to facilitate each other's endeavors, comprehend each other's objectives, strengthen each other's positions, and work with other nations of shared comfort. Our strategic partnership will continue to grow as we embrace mutuality and display sensitivity. Our cooperation is today set against a larger context of a free, open, and rules-based Indo-Pacific. For India, this is a natural extrapolation from our Act East policy. Indeed, the proportion of our activities and interests east of India has been steadily growing. Excellencies, we mark the 10th anniversary of our special strategic and global partnership. The 2+2 must particularly focus on the steps ahead. It is 2 years since we last met in Tokyo. There have been many developments of consequence in the world. Our own relationship also has to factor in changes in our own capabilities and calculations. I look forward to discussing all these developments at the meeting. Thank you.
いいですか。はい。今回、2年ぶりとなります、そしてモディ政権の下におきましては初となります2+2の開催を心から歓迎を申し上げます。また私個人といたしましても外務大臣就任後初めての帰国インド訪問をすることができまして大変嬉しくまた光栄に思っております。先月の東京に続きまして、ジャイシャンカル外相とこうして頻繁に応援をすることができ、こうして緊密に連携をすることができていることは大変喜ばしいことと考えております。今日初めて応援をする新外務大臣の議論も大変楽しみにしているところであります。本年は日印特別戦略的グローバルパートナーシップの立ち上げから10年目となります大変節目の年を迎えました。今回の2+2におきましては日印間の安全保障そして防衛協力のさらなる強化に向けましてしっかりと議論を深めてまいりたいと考えております。
では私から先ほどの防衛大臣会合に続きまして、2+2の開催、心から嬉しく思います。また、昨日のモディ首相との会談を含めて、今日の会合に至るまで、インド政府関係者の皆様方、ご尽力に心から感謝をいたします。安全保障・防衛分野における国際協力の必要性がかつてなく高まる中で、防衛省自衛隊としても我が国の安全及び地域の平和と安定、さらには国際社会全体の平和と安定、繁栄の確保に積極的に寄与していく必要があると考えています。既存の国際秩序が重大な挑戦を受け、国際社会の連携が一層必要とされる中、自由で開かれたインド太平洋の実現のためには、インド洋の大国であるインドの理解と協力が不可欠です。本日の2+2では、極めて厳しい安全保障環境について、
It will be gratifying to engage in frank discussions on the views of our countries and the challenges we face in the extreme severe security environment to further deepen our bilateral cooperation. Thank you.
You were listening to the opening statements by the Foreign and Defence Ministers of India and Japan when they met in New Delhi for the 2+2 Foreign and Defence Ministerial Dialogue. Right, so you're watching the live proceedings of the India-Japan 2+2 Foreign and Defence Ministerial Dialogue taking place in New Delhi with the opening statements by all four ministers. And now to news from the world of sport. We begin with some cricketing news. Samoa batter Darius Visser has broken the men's T20 international record for most runs in an over against Vanuatu in the T20 World Cup East Asia Pacific Region qualifier in Apia on Tuesday. Visser smashed 6 sixes to score 39 runs in 1 over. He was helped with 3 no balls from Sima Nalin Nipiko. It surpassed the famous 36-run feat achieved by Yuvraj Singh, Kieron Pollard, Nicholas Puran, Dipendra Singh and Rohit Sharma, along with Rinku Singh. Fessar finished with a score of 132 of 62 balls, thus becoming the first Samoa batter to score a T20 international century. Samoa restricted Vanuatu to 164 for 9 to win the game by 10 runs. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen now to download it. And let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.